Alright, so here we are again. There's still the floppy blank cover missing. The hard drive is behind there, the actual floppy is behind here. Probably needs to be taken out again to fix that read-write head issue. I know it will not work at this point. It did fire up the last time I had this together before I took it apart almost over a year ago. So, with all the surgery done, we'll figure out if it still works. Now, what did I do? I cleaned, retrobrighted the case, came out a little bit marbled, so I will not use the peroxide cream method again, at least not on these big pieces of plastic, submersion into H2O2 hydrogen peroxide solution. Much more reliable. I did replace all the capacitors on the analog board and the logic board. I didn't touch the power supply. I did open it and made sure there was no leaks. I did some in-circuit measuring of the capacitors. I know that's not particularly accurate, but they seemed fine, so I will do that at some point later. No upgrades have been added at this point. The SCSI hard drive, last time I tried it, still worked. So now comes the moment of truth. I hope I didn't destroy anything. So let us first fire up the power strip. Nothing blowing up yet. And now we will figure out, after I make some room for the mouse, if it does indeed still work. So fingers crossed. Here we go. I hear the fan spinning up. The drive light is coming on, but nothing on the screen. And here we go. There is definitely something broken. I can see the smiling Mac face, but there's also a lot of these vertical lines which were not there before. And brightness is almost completely shot. So this is all the way up and you can barely see it. And this is also where it stops loading. found my RAM. So we can stick this back on here. Now, fun little tidbit about this board. If you look here closely, there's a cut resistor, I believe. The first time I saw this, I thought, oops, someone messed up the board, but no, this is the way that you configure a slightly different amount of memory. So rather than changing a jumper around, that is how you would do that, and you can reattach it if needed. That's going to happen. So let us put the RAM modules back in, and we'll have to be very careful with these plastic tabs to make sure that they don't snap off. So that is going to be the tricky part. One done, 3 to go. This one almost looks like it has some corrosion on here. So I'll give this a quick clean, see if the good old IPA is going to help get rid of this. Let's see if this is on the other one as well. Doesn't look like it, so it may have just been some dirt or debris. It's definitely a little filthy. If it were corrosion, it could have been capacitor juice leaking from this one here, but when I took out the old one, I couldn't find any leakage. In fact, the whole board was extremely clean. If anything, it's dirtier now because I still have to clean off the flux properly. So I don't really know where that may have come from. Let's quickly put a little bit of contact cleaner in here. And just in case. Trying to apply equal pressure so it doesn't overstretch either one of the tabs. Last one. Okay. Now that everything is back on here, we'll try and put this back in the chassis. And then it's time to power it up and test it for the first time. Okay, time to do some troubleshooting, and one thing to do is measure whether the analog board and the power supply produce the right voltages. So, one of the recommended ways to do this is to probe some of the voltage valves through the external floppy connector, which is this one here. So, we'll turn on the machine. You won't hear the chime because the speaker is not connected right now. I actually have to figure out where I put that. And so ground is through the screw hole. Let's turn on the voltage meter. I hope you can kind of see that. Now, certain pins produce certain voltages, and the count of the pin number starts from the upper right, which is pin number 1. We have to get to, let's see, I'm following some instructions here. Pin 6 should produce a plus 5 volt voltage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we have 5.02 volts. Pins 7 and 8 should produce 12 volts. So here we have 12.25 and 12.25. And on pin minus 12 volts on pin 5. 5, and that produces minus 11.75 volts, which is okay, within tolerance, I suppose. So voltage-wise, this thing seems to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. Fan is running. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is I took this whole thing apart again, cleaned bits of the analog board, cleaned the logic board properly again with lots of isopropyl alcohol, and then also, and I will take you off the tripod for a moment, adjusted a brightness control knob, which is this one here, the pot behind that. And all it takes is a simple kind of flathead screwdriver, here we are, to adjust the brightness. And just with the cleaning and adjusting the brightness, guess what we get? A perfectly working Macintosh SE. So, whatever caused the previous problem, I don't know, but I'm happy it's running now. So all there is left to do is reassemble that whole thing, and next will be the floppy drive to address with the broken read and write head. But at least that is progress for now.